G'day, mate, and welcome to the Friday Facts. We've got 313 light at the end of the bug table, and I've got bug tunnel. There we go. And I've got a Mojo with me. Hey, mate.
Hello, we're going to Friday Facts with friends.
I'll let you get away with it because it's still technically a Friday here. And actually, this video, if I'm lucky, it will go out at midnight our time. I've actually, as soon as I've done this, I've got to go do an interview with Jace for tomorrow's video. So, you know, Factorio today, Satisfactory tomorrow. You know, it's flat out on a Friday night.
Also, that was specifically for BV Gorp.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Yes. The have been highly requested. So this week's actually a really, really light Friday Facts, but it does have two interesting tidbits. The first one's not so interesting. They went out for burgers and beers with the last meal with Emisters before he flies back home for another few months. And they went to an old place that was near their old office. They moved like a year ago, right?
Something like that, yeah. They've been in the new office for ages.
Yeah.
More than a year, actually, I think.
Yeah, like I said a year, and then as soon as I said it, I'm like, no, it's got to be longer than that. Probably a year and a half, too. But yeah, the old staff near near their old, the people, the restaurant near their old office, the staff remembered them, which probably means they ate there too often to start with.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I find that when I go back to old places and I haven't been there in ages and they still remember me, I'm like, okay, I obviously used to visit this place far too often. But yeah, the first important bit, I guess, of this Friday Facts is they have light at the end of the bug tunnel, which is by Clonan, and it's interesting.
Not by Gvorax, because he's not reached level 60 yet.
No, he hasn't. But there was, I guess I call it a troll post, by PC Gamers N, which somebody posted into my Discord.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing this. Yeah. Was it actually a troll post or was it serious?
It looks like it was clickbait, dead set.
It's clickbait. Although the entire PC Games N, it's trying to be PC Gamer.
Yeah,
but not quite. It sounds like a very clickbait news site.
Yeah, it was funny because, like, literally they've just copied stuff out of the Friday Facts and re-elaborated the Friday Facts and just said, like, work is slowed down because Clonan's taking time off because, like, he's the sole owner and dev and grandmaster of Woob, so he's decided to take some time off to go play WoW Classic. I think he's allowed to, you know, maybe, possibly.
He's kind of entitled to do what he wants.
So yeah, he hasn't got to level 60 in WoW Classic, which really outlines how much grindy it is, because he's probably playing it at work and at home, and probably living in WoW, and hasn't got to level 60 in how long are we up to? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
However long, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Neither of us play WoW. But yeah, he's back. He's feeling super recharged. They had Boss Kid come visit their office, and they did some intensive testing and test writing. He was working hand in hand with Dominic, and the two...
Poor Dominic.
Yeah. Poor Dominic, who was ready to throw him out the window or jump out the window last week. And they fixed a lot of bugs related to the fluid mixing system. So it looks like last week it sort of read as if they're like, no, that's it. Like, if a fluid mixes, it's fine. We're just going to ignore it. And I even went in and looked at some of the bug reports in, I think, this update or the previous update, and it looks like that's sort of the decision they come to. That if fluids mixed, then either the magic pipe you put down that forced fluids to mix, the game would just undo that command and wouldn't give you an option, or they'd let the fluids overwrite one another and just you sort it out. It's a you problem. But yeah, because he was there and they could do QA inside their office, so Dominic writes the code and says it's all fixed, and then Boss Kid goes, nope, I found a new way to break it. It looks like Boss Kid might actually get hired, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's looking promising.
Look, I love it. I love it when developers hire from within their community. I remember I want to say Supreme Commander. Supreme Commander was the last game I really followed hardcore. And their AI guy, they actually hired, he was a modder who wrote much better AI for their game as a mod. And then they hired him for Supreme Commander 2 and another project that never went anywhere. The company shut down instead. But he was hired on basically to just work on AI.
And didn't Supreme Commander 2 also flop?
Yeah, it did, but that's a different story. It wasn't because of the AI, I'll say that much.
Oh yeah, AI was top notch. It was just everything else around it.
It was not in. It was a step back as far as RTSs were concerned. It was really looking at StarCraft, like really hard, really quick, intense battles, whereas Supreme Commander was much more of a like, no. I really want to build up and throw like a giant army against a giant army. Yeah.
It's that older style of Red Alert type, original Red Alert, not Red Alert 2 or 3, which is autistically fast.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's more Red Alert 3. Red Alert 3 is absurdly fast.
Oh, really? I played CNC, Red Alert. I think I got as far as Red Alert 2 and Generals, and then I sort of quit the franchise. It was just... It had seen its day. It had enough. There was only so much you could recycle the same idea over and over.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the Friday Facts. So they think that they're finally at a stable candidate. It's only been like a month since they first thought they were at a stable candidate. But their bug report is down to 16, and the automatic crash reports are down to sub 100.
Which is good. And also the count on the forums is down to only 16, so the actual reports people post on the forums are quite...
Yeah, and you got to remember this is a really small graph, or a really short time period. You don't know how many hours there are, but I'm gonna guess maybe they split it up into 12 blocks. So you're under 100 crashes over 12 hours. So it's probably 1,200 crashes, but a lot of that's going to be game crashes. You reboot the game back up, and then maybe it recrashes, maybe it doesn't crash. So, like, this is very few bugs, and the bugs that are in there are probably causing a significant amount of those repeat crashes. I know, I think I upgraded to version 60, and I had like a hard crash, and then I reloaded the game, and I had another hard crash, and I reloaded back one autosave prior, and went past that point and didn't have a hard crash. So yeah, the game is almost stable.
Do you know what I'd wish is that Oxygen Included was had this few bugs in it and crashes.
Boy, yeah. Sorry, I found a whole new one. You know how they added that so again, side tangents. You know how they added that time lapse feature?
Yeah.
It turns out that if you take the slider up to 8K by 8K, which gives you some really nice, I would assume, some really nice pictures, every single day at midday, the game pauses for about 5 seconds at cycle like 30. It's going to get worse from there.
Oh, is it taking the snapshot?
Yeah. And it's I can't even find where it saves the snapshot files, so that's the worst part about it. I did a time lapse in the previous version that didn't have that feature with a mod, and it ran smooth as silk. There was a small glitch, but like it happened at the autosave time anyway, so it didn't really matter. Anyway, yeah. Some games
probably
are
busy
great.
Building Hot Lava instead of Oni.
Oh yeah, I saw that already moved on to another game. Yep. So yeah, back to Factorio and the stable game. So we got a Landfill update. So in last week's Friday Facts, they gave us a new Landfill terrain, and they felt really relieved as having the task done for the graphics. But there were two people on the forums. One person suggested rotating it by 45 degrees, and then the other person did a mock-up. And I love this. It was something that we commented on, that the tiny grid lines were like 4 and 5 high.
Yeah, it did look a bit off.
It did look a bit off, and a lot of that comes down to not all the sprites in Factorio sit perfectly within that grid square. Some of them, like the belts, are slightly risen up, so they're not perfectly in that 4 mini grid section. They're 1 mini grid higher. And that's fine. It worked great in the game until you put the mini grid beside it. So he actually suggested rotating the whole thing 45 degrees and put in a picture of chicken wire or wire fencing. And then the next person whose name escapes me, 3 Pounds. 3 Pounds did a mock-up. And actually, it's the very next post. So what's that? 20 minutes later, took the original Friday Facts picture and rotated the grid lines on the landfill by 90 degrees, and it looked heaps better. So
from 9:35 p.m. when it came out to 10:57 p.m., they'd done a 45-degree angle picture of it.
Yeah, something like that. Quick.
Yeah.
My time zones are different, but yeah, an hour and 20 minutes, roughly.
Yeah, something like that. So from the thing being announced on the forum, at least being announced on the forum, which is basically when it came.
Which is probably faster than the bots and everything else, and yeah, faster than everything else anyway, because they've automated the whole thing, I assume. So
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so with these devs. Anyway, so they've got 45-degree grid lines, and I think we both commented last week that the grid lines at least proved that it was artificial, and we didn't mind it.
That was the goal, and it was artificial, but it was a bit at the same time. It added a little bit too much.
Well, look, I don't mind it now. I prefer this more than last week. I'll say that much.
Yeah, this grid is much nicer.
And yeah, I still don't know how it's going to look. Actually, I have a feeling with a whole base on top of it, it'll look great.
Oh yeah, it'll look pretty good.
If you
probably with a nuclear reactor set up on top of it too.
Oh yeah, of course. Especially if you install that mod that gives you the coloured pipes, so you can have lots of different coloured heat pipes. Yeah, but I have to say, like when you first landfill the whole lake before you build anything, it's going to look a little bit weird. So yeah, that's been added. They're happy with the solution, but they're sort of feel a little bit guilty that they didn't get it. They didn't think of it first. Is probably the best way of putting it. And they're really, really lucky the community is keen to give us feedback on any aspect of the game, which is pretty much one of the things I love about Weeb and the Friday Facts, that they put these out, all these minor little updates. This is what we're thinking about. This is what we've done. And the community can really get back to them really fast and go, good idea, bad idea, change it for this idea. And then conversations continue on the forums, Reddit, etc., etc. Maybe show up in other Friday Facts. Maybe they decide that they're happy with the answer and they don't care what we say. But yeah, I like the way we work. I'll say that much.
It's also, I want to say, it's sort of honesty in the way they work too. Like, because it just says, you know what, I didn't think of that, and I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea, and it just says it's a good idea. And it doesn't, like a lot of other places, they won't say that. They'll say, yeah, I got some inspiration from, or something like that. They'll try and sort of pass it off as, yeah, we thought we could do better, so we actually did it this way.
Yeah,
and not actually, and say, you know what, that person came up with it. It was a good.
I was reading. So I'm reading on my Discord today. I've been flat out all day, so I haven't had a lot of chance to actually read into the backstory of this. But the current update added burner leach as a like a I don't know, part of the, not even the modding script, but the vanilla script of the game. So previously a burner inserter couldn't take fuel out of another burner inserter, and now it can. As part of the base game, and I think that has to do with like the burner leach that we featured a couple of months ago, which lets you take fuel out of stuff like furnaces with a burner inserter to fuel the burner inserter, but also
I wonder what the change of mind was there, because from what I understand, the opinion by Gavorax or whoever was that you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, it used to work, and then it got changed. But it looks like it was just a pure. In the past, it was like a fluke thing that if you happen to line a burner inserter up, it could take fuel out of something that had a burnable in it if the burner inserter needed fuel. Now it looks like it's an actual API script, whatever you want to call it, that the game can like or that people can latch onto and use, and some of that seems to do with like I read a heavy burner inserter mod, well, community map 2 last month, and then we had the mod pack that it's not that I can't talk about it, it's that I can't remember its name at the moment. It was last week.
Industrial Revolution.
That's the one.
Actually, that's actually what I suspected it was for. Is that the change is to deal with that.
Yeah, that's the other thing I think it has to do with it. You know, it has a very, very heavily featured burner stage, because I've got many members of the community playing it currently, and they've said it takes hours to get out of the burning stage. So if you can have burner inserters that can pull out of machines that already have some sort of fuel in them, it's going to simplify things dramatically. On top of that, like, we had to install, I think, 3 different mods to get burner inserters to pull fuel out of things, and each one caused different crashes and desyncs, which was great for a community map.
Just what you always wanted.
Yeah. We had many mods update and become more perfect, and headache for me. But you know, it's nice to see that even though they make a decision about something, if a mod or something proves that it can be useful, they'll be like, no, actually, that's probably an idea. We should add that back into the game somewhere. And it's the same with every single week. If you look at the changelog, you'll see there's a whole section that sometimes is longer than the bug fixes on different scripting or modding APIs they've added, because modders have asked for it, and they've actually provided some decent grounds as to why we want them in the game, and they get added. So yeah,
it usually seems to get added as long as they give a good enough reason, and as long as it isn't an unreasonable thing to add in.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the way we do things. I'm pretty sure that's pretty obvious by now. And yeah, I love the fact that they're honest with us and happy to go back and have a second look at things. Anything else this week, Major?
Nope, that's it. It's not much to talk about, really.
No, I think that's the shortest Friday Facts we've ever done. Anyway, with that, we're out on a Friday night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next week. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.